Hi, I'm Allison, and welcome back to Mike Anderson. He's talking about his latest book, came out in 2021, Tackling the Motivation Crisis. And as we're moving into this part 3 conversation, Mike, I want to start focusing in on what teachers can do to continue to leverage the 6 intrinsic motivators that we talked about in part 2. So if you want to watch that, that would be great to actually do in preparation for this conversation. But the idea of how do we grow motivation through the level of coaching self-management skills.
Such an important topic. So to be clear, to sort of recap 1 and 2, first, we need to stop motivating and incentivizing learning. We need to stop viewing it as our job to motivate the kids, and instead it's our job to help their motivations come through. Mm-hmm. And so then we talked about those 6 intrinsic motivators, and this is an important idea to understand. We don't have to teach these motivators. Our kids come to us already with these motivators in place. These are psychological needs that all people have. So we don't have to put up a chart of the 6 intrinsic motivators in our classrooms and teach kids about those. They want those already. But they don't always have the skills of self-management or of relationship building or of self-awareness that they need to follow through on their motivation. You know, it's like you can be motivated to run a 5K, but if you can't make yourself put on your sneakers and go out and start running 3 or 4 days a week, it doesn't matter how much you want to run a 5K. You'll never get there if you can't make yourself do some training. So that's the other really important critical element here, is we have to help grow kids' skill sets around self-management and relationship building and all of those important social skills and emotional skills. They need to be successful.
So I'm going to quote you to you right now. Okay. You said,
I hope it's good.
I know. That's right. I'm only pulling out fabulous quotes here. So here we go.
Phew.
Motivation isn't something you either have or you don't. It comes and goes. Some days you can be fired up and energized about work, and other days it might feel more like a slog. To keep moving forward with work when the going gets tough, we need strategies to manage ourselves and even manage our motivation. Now, Mike, I thought you were talking to me at that point.
I was.
That's right. So that's right. I think the idea, especially some of the really powerful, colorful examples that you have in this particular section of the book, is really starting to figure out it's not something that is hardwired. Motivation isn't hardwired. It actually is more fleeting. Yeah. And so it comes and it goes. It's intense. And then it sort of whittles away like 5 minutes after you make your New Year's resolution. Yep. So can you talk a little bit about the concrete examples, 1 or 2, that begin to help kiddos manage, and again, whether it's 5 years old or me, 50 years old, begin to manage or give a strategy for how to get started or how to stick with it?
Yeah, so I've learned so many strategies from so many different places. And one who comes to mind immediately is one of my most important professional mentors, even though I was really only around him for less than a year. It was Don Murray, who was a Pulitzer Prize-winning writer and a neighbor. And I got to know him in the last year of his life, and it was such a treasure. He wrote 12 or 13 different books about writing and the teaching of writing. And he viewed writing as like a blue-collar job. Like you put on your hard hat, you grab your lunch pail, and you go to work. And so every day he would record the number of words that he wrote. He did not believe in waiting for the spark of inspiration to write great things. He also did not believe in writer's block. He said, do carpenters get carpenter's block? No. Do electricians get electrician's blocks? No. They get to a problem and they figure it out. And he had this great line. He said, Mike, do you know what the most important muscle is in a writer's body? Your gluteus maximus, because you have to sit your butt down and write. So I learned lots of strategies from Don. One of them was that when you're working on a piece of writing, and I've applied this to other things beyond writing, one of the hard things is if you finish writing for the day and then you try to pick the piece of writing back up the next day, you often don't have that same sense of flow that you had the day before. It's hard to pick the piece back up. So what he recommended, leaving yourself a sentence unfinished at the end of a day, so that the next day when you get to your writing, you can just start, you finish that sentence and it helps you get right back into the flow of your work again. This summer, I tried that same strategy when building a rock path along the side of my house. Each day I finished, I would put down the next 2 stones that I wanted to lay down the next day, so that when I came back out the next morning, I already had those 2 stones picked out and knew where they were going to go, and it helped me get right back into the workflow. So that's a really simple, practical strategy that we can give to kids who are working on some sort of long-term project, whether it's a piece of writing or a research project, is when you finish work one day, give yourself something to finish and sort of connect the days with to start off the next day with.
One of the other strategies that I was really intrigued by is utilizing productive times of the day. Oftentimes, and Dan Pink wrote a great book on this subject as well, of trying to figure out like who you are and how you function. And so everyone has like potentially a different trajectory.
Yep.
So, but oftentimes we don't talk about that in terms of for students. Are you noticing, is there a pattern that you're seeing in how you're identifying productive moments of the day, especially when they're assigned a fair bit of homework? So can you share an example or two in this area?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a morning person. Most of my really good, productive, especially creative, hard thinking work happens in the morning, because once 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon hits, I get really mushy upstairs. It's a good thing we're doing this interview now, because in a couple hours, it would not be going as well. So I know that for myself, if I'm going to get good work done, I need to do it early in the morning. We know we've got students like that too. Are we helping them think about that and plan out that maybe I'd get more work done if I carved out 30 or 40 minutes before the school day started to work on homework, as opposed to trying to slog it out after they've had a full day of school and they've had band practice and they've gone running for cross country, and now it's 8 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden a 20-minute homework assignment takes 2 hours because they're exhausted. We can help kids identify what are their most productive times of day and help them figure out how to leverage those to work more efficiently and to get better work done.
Yeah. And the last one that caught my attention, and by the way, for our viewers, we'll list, Mike's generously offered to list the entire collection that was in the book. So if you haven't read the book, definitely go buy it. But this is a quick snippet of the power of Mike's concrete, practical, and engaging strategies to continue to help grow your ideas. So I think the last one, I just wanted to play out one more different idea, is screening out distractions. Now, again, not only do students have a difficult time with this, but certainly most adults do too. So one tip in this particular territory of screening out.
Sure. We all have things that get in the way of our work. We need to identify what are those. Like my phone gets in the way of my work. If my phone is next to me and it's on, and all of a sudden I realize that I've just been notified about something on Twitter, I'm very likely to stop doing what I'm doing and check my phone and check Twitter. So one of the strategies I've learned that really helps me, and I know that this is a strategy that we can teach to kids as well, is turn your phone off or put it on airplane mode, even for 15 or 20 minutes at a time if you're trying to get something done. I think it's unrealistic to expect, especially adolescents, to never have their phone on when they're doing work, but to say, I'm going to turn it off for 10 minutes so that I can do 10 minutes of work, and then I'll take a 2 or 3 minute break and check social media.
And by the way, Mike, that is a lot better than just having a phone hotel in your classroom, because when you put something in the phone hotel, that is, again, a level of angst and friction that might cause. But ultimately, you're deciding on behalf of students what will and won't help them in terms of screening out distractions. So the intent is quite good, but the idea of growing students' capacity to understand, is this an issue for me? And how do I know? Can I actually investigate my own productivity when I have my phone next to me and when I don't have my phone next to me? That's the intention of growing students' capacity to be better self managers and self motivators.
Yeah, and there might be times when we do need to use something like the phone hotel for some reason. But if that's our go-to, then what we're focused on doing is managing kids and their behaviors instead of helping them learn strategies and skills of self-management.
Yes.
Which is the ultimate goal, is we want kids to be able to manage themselves.
Alrighty. Well, we will spend one more time having a conversation in part 4, where we're going to be talking about other approaches, other strategies to continue to make the move away from extrinsic motivation toward an intrinsic motivated classroom where things are a little more fun, a little more joyful, and a lot more interesting. Thanks, Mike.
Right on.